Where is free expression threatened because the rule of law is not enforced? Each year, CPJ's Impunity Index identifies the countries where journalists are murdered and authorities fail to solve the crimes. This year, 12 nations have terrible records. 2 are getting worse by the year. In Mexico, unsolved journalist murders grew for the 3rd consecutive year. The victims include María Macias Castro, whose decapitated body was found with a note from a crime group. They killed Macias for reporting she did via social media. Pakistan's impunity rate worsened for the 4th straight year. Journalists faced attack from militants, politicians, and the government itself. Reporter Salim Shahzad was abducted, tortured, and killed after exposing Al-Qaeda infiltration in the military. But impunity and the threat it poses to everyone's right to information can be turned around. In 3 nations with long histories of anti-press violence, the climate is getting better. In Colombia, dozens of journalists were killed without penalty for many years. But journalists worked together to push for effective law enforcement and protection. In 2011, no work-related murders were reported. Nepal also saw improvement as authorities won convictions in the murder of Uma Singh. She was stabbed after reporting on sensitive issues such as women's rights and communal violence. And Bangladesh dropped off CPJ's list of shame entirely, thanks to a long-term decline in anti-press violence. 4 nations stand apart from the international community. They are lawless places where justice fails and the free flow of information is denied. More than 90 journalists were murdered in Iraq as the country was immersed in war. But even now, as authorities claim stability, they fail to bring justice. The death toll grew again when radio host Hadi al-Mahdi was shot in his home. The Somali press corps faces an onslaught of attacks, most coming from al-Shabaab militants. But in 2011, a man wearing a military uniform shot reporter Abdisalan Sheikh Hassan. In Sri Lanka, under President Rajapaksa, reporters critical of the government are not safe. 9 journalists, all critics of the administration, have been murdered during his time in power. Not a single case is solved. Among these conflict-ridden places is one surprise: the Philippines. There, the criminal justice system is unable to bring convictions in 55 journalist murders. Among the victims is Gerardo Ortega, shot after covering government corruption. 4 nations are stagnating. For each conviction won, another journalist is murdered. They include Afghanistan, where Zakia Zaki was shot in her home after her radio station criticized local warlords. In Russia, the most recent victim is Gaimurad Kamalov. His independent newspaper covered government corruption, human rights abuses, and Islamic radicalism in Dagestan. In Brazil, authorities have won some convictions, but those gains have been offset by an uptick in anti-press violence. In one case, contract killers shot Edinaldo Filgueira after he ran a poll critical of the local government. And in India, the world's largest democracy, the press is under consistent fire. Coverage of drug trafficking, corruption, and environmental degradation is being silenced. These nations, the terrible 12, have shown that they can't or won't enforce the law when a critical reporter is the victim. But the culture of impunity can change, one case at a time. Learn more, get involved, visit CPJ's global campaign against impunity.